there, Blue said, nodding her head toward the shoes. Let me grab my bag, Pepper chirped happily. Blue watched her sister's fingers snake around the straps of her school bag and hoist it from the back of the dining room chair. You could have just asked for a ride, Blue said, as she noticed the lack of breakfast dishes in the sink. You know I would have taken you if you'd told me last night. Did you have breakfast? But Blue already knew the answer to that question. Pepper didn't have any food stashed in her room, and she hadn't made an appearance in the kitchen that morning. If I'd asked you last night, you'd have given me the same rehearsed spiel about responsibility and then woke me up at the butt crack of dawn anyway. Pepper sighed in frustration and rolled her eyes. So you deliberately ran late so I'd have to take you? Blue crossed her arms over her chest and started tapping her foot, then stopped abruptly when she realized she was imitating her mother's mannerisms. She quickly uncrossed her arms and waited for an answer. I didn't have breakfast, Pepper avoided her question. Can we hit up the Mickey D's drive-thru? You have 6 minutes to get to school. Blue hurried into the kitchen and grabbed the Eggos she'd made for herself. She hadn't slathered them in syrup yet, so Pepper could wolf the dry waffles down in the car on the way. At least they had some butter on them. Blue handed the paper plate with the waffles to Pepper, and they rushed out to the car. There's no sausage because I was interrupted by my sister being late for school. Pepper was a bit pouty about the Mickey D's thing, but Blue ignored her. Blue was the one who had to give up her breakfast after all. Tiffany perched on the window seat and watched as the car slowly backed out of the driveway with Blue and Pepper inside. She looked a bit pouty, too. The school parking lot was a ghost town, and the drop-off line was empty. Pepper scrambled out of the car, leaving behind a crumpled paper plate with half a waffle, and sprinted across the pavement. The bell echoed through the air, signaling the beginning of the school day, and she skidded into the building just as the doors closed. As Blue drove to the candy shop, she finished the last crumbs of a waffle and popped open a lukewarm bottle of Diet Coke. The car had been sitting in the cold all night, so the soda wasn't too bad. Still, she wished she'd brought something better to drink. Blue pulled her car into the far end of the parking area in front of the candy shop. Although there were still a few spaces closer to the entrance, she kept away from them, leaving them open for customers. The candy shop was rarely busy enough to fill all the spots, but Blue enjoyed the small gesture of hospitality, even if no one ever noticed it. Sucre Bleu sat on one corner of the town square, catty corner and down the block from the large brick town hall and courthouse. The green park in the center was sprinkled with children playing tag and pigeons cooing from atop a nearby gazebo. The rest of the square was lined with quaint storefronts, each one distinct in their own right. An old bookshop with gleaming bright blue shutters was one of Blue's favorite buildings. The courthouse loomed impressively over Hemlock Hollow, the old brick exterior frosted with a graceful white dome that glinted in the sunlight. The building was well preserved, defying its 150-plus years of age, and the landscaping around it was a masterpiece of manicured perfection. Inside the courthouse, the lobby was abuzz with activity as people paid fines, filed papers, and attended hearings. Courtrooms lined one side of the hallway, and the other led to the county jail, where only the hardened expressions of those familiar with its routines betrayed any sign of life. Stories of hauntings had circulated in the small town for years, but now the old abandoned prison was open to the public. A neon green sign out front advertised a haunted history tour that ran every Friday night for $29 per person. Inside, the dark walls were damp with age, and the air filled with a feeling of dread. The tours could only run if no one was incarcerated in one of the jail cells, but of course, no one ever was. The old jail was eerily quiet on Fridays. If there was someone in the old jail and no chance of them being released before the tour started, they'd be shuffled over to the sheriff's station for the weekend. Blue turned away from the square, clicked the lock button on her key fob, and headed into Sucre Bleu. On her way in, she had to pass Lunatic Fringe, the best salon in town, and an empty space for rent. The building next to Blue's shop, the empty one for rent, was super-duper haunted, and no one local would rent it, especially not after the infamous Hemlock Hollow ice cream social incident 2 years before.